And that's not likely to be the only big news out of North Las Vegas this week. The governor is expected to announce Thursday that a deal's been reached with Faraday Futures to build a manufacturing plant at the Apex site. The governor will need help from state lawmakers to give tax incentives to Faraday to build its billion-dollar facility. At present, no one involved in the deal is talking, but the I-team wrangled some information out of North Las Vegas officials about the potential of the Apex site, and George Knapp has that story.
As a site for manufacturing or other industries, Apex has it all. 18,000 acres of comparatively cheap land, sitting just a few miles outside a major metropolitan area, crossed by massive power lines that could be tapped, with rail access and an interstate highway nearby. There's a palpable buzz at the site, people coming and going, checking out property. Economists at Brookings West were tasked by North Las Vegas with evaluating the economic potential of Apex, and the numbers are jaw-dropping.
Now we're looking at over $250 billion over 20 years for the impact of the whole build-out.
It's close to 2.5 times the highest estimated impact from the Tesla battery factory being built in northern Nevada, Lang says. His original estimates for potential jobs at the Apex site have jumped in the past few months to a whopping 116,000 direct and indirect. And the reason for his optimism can be summed up in one name, Faraday, a startup electric car company financed by a Chinese billionaire who's been called the Elon Musk of China.
I sense it is a real deal, and that it has rather deep pockets, and they go all the way back to China. And that a lot of the principals in the firm have been in manufacturing of other automobiles like BMW, Chevy, the Chevy Volt, and Tesla, for example, and not one or two, but several.
Well, actually, I've signed a NDA, non-disclosure agreement.
North Las Vegas Mayor John Lee would love to talk about what Faraday has in mind, but a possible deal has not yet been signed, so he can't. All indications are a decision by Faraday is very close.
They're very excited. They've been treated like partners. Their questions have all been answered. They've hired outside professionals to advise them. There have been site inspections. Everything has been disclosed. They're ready to go to work.
A year ago, few people had even heard of Faraday or its plans to build a futuristic zero-emission electric vehicle that some describe as a computer on wheels. Lee and his staff sort of invited themselves to meet with company executives when they learned that Faraday was looking for a place to build a factory. Nevada wasn't even on their list, but it's now considered the front runner to land the mega project.
We started working with them in December of last year. And if you look at all the interaction we've had, they've come here, we went there. I mean, we've built a relationship, a business-to-business relationship. They're the real deal. I couldn't ask for a better company to consider being our partner in North Las Vegas.
Last year, a special session of the legislature granted more than $1 billion in tax breaks to Tesla. The law also declared that any other company which invested as much as Tesla could get the same kind of deal, though few at the time thought it might actually happen.
It became a tremendous tool that we used, and that will forever change the landscape of southern Nevada, just like it did northern Nevada.
Assistant City Manager Ryan Juden has worked to get the same kind of deal for Faraday that was given to Tesla. Earlier this year, North Las Vegas enlisted the help of Governor Sandoval, who has since met with Faraday executives and who's been working quietly behind the scenes to nail down an agreement. The governor is expected to call a special session of the legislature to deal with the one weakness at Apex, water. One proposal would extend a water line some 18 miles to the site. The state would have to devote some of its bonding capacity to fund a water system, either a line or wells.
Putting that money in, the $120 to $140 million to build a water line, in order to open up that for the billions of dollars in economic return, you're looking at, it's astronomical. It's about 120,000% return on your investment.
This is a huge deal, but we've got 4 or 5 deals right behind this, George, that I'm not willing to disclose right now. But just because we got one company circling the bait doesn't mean we're done fishing.
George Knapp, 8 News Now.
North Las Vegas officials were successful in getting Faraday to look at the Apex site, and the governor's team has worked for the last few months to seal the deal and eliminate any roadblocks. An announcement's expected Thursday, and a special session of the legislature is likely to be called for next week.